Game started.
All right, Kamamura. From what country is that? Czech, from the Czech Republic. Let's try knight f6 here. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my Nimzo, I guess. That's a very interesting flag. I didn't know the Czech Republic flag looked like that. Okay, yeah, so we get a Nimzo. He allows it. Let's see what line he plays. The Queen C2 line seems to be the most popular response these days. A classical. E3, the Rubinstein, that's the line I play, but there are other moves. There's knight f3. Kasparov would play that. Or the same-ish with A3. Well, he's taking his time thinking about the opening. Don't know, this is a very standard position. E3, okay. So C5, put a little more pressure on the center. The idea with the Nimzo is you're actually targeting these light squares here in the center, preventing or slowing down the move E4. He offered what a fianchetto, the light squared bishop, too. But this helps slow down the pawn push from E3 to E4 because now this pawn is sort of tied up defending the D pawn. The D pawn could push forward and get into a Benoni type of structure, or he could force the exchange, which is very common. Then castle or knight here. White can actually take the pawn on C5, but it's a very funny looking tripled pawn structure, so usually that's not played. But pushing on to D5 is a reasonable move there as well. Then maybe D6 and he goes to, yeah, he gets on the move E5 here. E4. Yeah, you can't always prevent it. But he has kind of a funny pawn structure, so maybe he just sort of blockade the center. I think this might be the Hübner variation or something like it. I don't know that line exactly. So can I play E5? E5, pawn takes, knight takes, pawn takes. Yeah, it looks like it's playable. And those exchanges lead to just a very blocked center where I've got one pawn holding back two of his. So, okay, he pins my knight. I'll just kick the bishop a little bit. Now I can't play bishop to E6. That's always that little trap you got to watch out for. So he's not taking. He's going to hold the tension in the center. The pawn to D5, of course, forks those two pieces. That's what I was referring to. I might like to try and unpin somehow. Maybe I need to do this maneuver, bishop A6 and knight to A5, and put a little more pressure on the C pawn. Sometimes that's the way to play, but sometimes it's hard to say because sometimes your pieces are all in odd spots after that, right? Bishop A6 and knight A5 seems a bit weird just to go after this pawn, but it is a plan. And in any case, yeah, I don't have too many good squares. I guess bishop G4 is probably an idea, pinning that knight. But if he kicks it, I have to trade. I don't want to give up that bishop. I'd rather, if I had to trade it, I would trade it for his bishop so he doesn't have the bishop pair advantage. Deep thinker here, thinking again. White could just castle, and I think keeping the tension here probably helps. Castle and then queen to E2 if I attack the C pawn. The queen and bishop form a battery protecting it, or even knight to D2 to defend it. A bit passive, but knight D2 would allow him to push the F pawn. Yeah, there he goes with the castling. So bishop A6 and knight A5. Not sure this is a great plan, but I don't see another plan. And the knight from a5 maybe can jump into b3 if the queen moves away. So maybe there's ideas there. Yeah, so it looks like he is preparing. Oh, okay, so he went with the queen to e2 idea. And he's also at the same time preparing this pawn push. So knight to b3 puts a little more pressure on the e pawn. So if I exchange first, and then play knight to b3, it's a kind of a fork. It hits his rook in the corner, and it hits the pawn here on d4. Okay, so he's stopping to think again. Yeah, I got to think about this one. Yeah, he moved his knight away. That's what happened. He moved his knight away from the defense of his center there, so he lost control. To some degree, he lost control of the e4 square. So he discovered a nice tactic. He's going to take my knight. If I take the rook, he takes the knight, and I take back with the pawn. And if he gets my knight in the corner as well as this knight over here, that's 2 pieces for the rook, that's good. If I can get my knight out without trouble, I could be okay, but that looks difficult, and my king side is messed up. So I think what I will do here is just take the pawn and not go in for those complications. So if he moves his rook, still knight to d4 seems like a good square. He's still so he's just going to give up the exchange here in exchange for the e pawn. So I take the rook, he takes the pawn. Well, then I'll try and save my knight. So let's take here. This is just, yeah, that's funny. So is he really getting away with this? Aren't I just a whole rook up here? I thought he had to take back, and then I would try and protect the pawn. Okay, so he's going to pile up on my knight.
White resigns.
Yeah, I don't think that was going to work. I have the knight to e4 idea at least, and this knight is loose. So, well, it was a short game, but there were some interesting moments there. I will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.